Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to get something straight about a story. You know, how somebody says about Ron Logan, and a story cannot not seem he can't keep his story straight. But he's getting everybody else to believe his story and stuff. So, found some things, and I'll read some of those on here on the stories, and we're going to find out how true. Hey, Cyber Warrior, how you doing? So we're going to find out. Let me start with. Hold on. Let me find one here. It was. That's not the first one I want. Where are you? Is it that one? Not that one yet. I don't want that one yet. It's this one because there's a document I have saw. Um, Here it is. All right. And that one is alleged. Okay. So how is everyone doing? All right. So this is what I found. Okay. So prison inmate says two other men confess to being involved in Delphi murders. Rich Allen's defense team wants letters of the inmate says he sent to the prosecutors about the murders of Living Abbey. So the defense attorney of Richard Allen are requesting letters and tapes interview with an Indiana prisoner who says he spoke to two men who admit the involvement in the Delphi murders. Now, according to Allen's defense team, Andrew Baldwin, Ricky Davis, who spoke to the two men who told him details about the murder of Living in Abbey and said they were involved. Now, Davis told the defense team he sent as many as 8 letters to Carroll County prosecutor during Allen's trial, outlining what the two men alleged told Davis. Well, the defense says those letters were never shared with them and that the prosecutor refused to say whether he or his office received the letters or shared them. Now, Davis said he gave a recorded interview to the police, interview that the defense team also has not seen. Now, the defense team says the prosecutor has also refused to clarify whether the interview exists or if it has been shared with the defense team. Now, Ricky Davis, who is he? Well, Ricky Davis is serving 50 years in prison. We know he's trying to make a deal here so he can get his sentence down. That was one of the reasons he was trying to do. Flip two people, blame two people of the murders. So, meth within 1,000 feet of youth program, according to the Indiana Court of Appeal in 2014. Now, Davis called the police to turn himself in cooking the meth in his house, which was 970 feet from the church of Huntington, Indiana. Police did not find any meth at home, but found materials to make meth. Now, Davis had unsuccessfully tried to appeal his sentence. Now, Davis being held in the Indiana State Prison in Newcastle, where he serves time with the men who he says meant to be involved in the murders of Abby and Libby in 2017. So here's the thing, right here. This is the document of Indiana State versus Richard Allen. So Richard Allen, by counsel, now comes before the court with his verified motions and moves the court to order the state of Indiana to preserve certain evidence or produce that evidence in the defense in support of motion Richard Allen. The state has followed. Now, on February 12th, 2025, Richard Allen's counsel, Andrew, and met with Ricci Davis in Newcastle Correction. During the meeting, Mr. Davis informed attorney Baldwin the following. He said Ricci was unique in the position of having met both King, Klein, and Ron Logan during their stay at Newcastle Correctional Facility. Now, he said Ricci Davis talked with Ron about Delphi murders multiple times, occasion. Over the course of time, Logan confessed to his involvement in the murders along with two other people. During those conversations, Logan provides certain details of the crime that only the actual killer would know, but never divulge who the other two involved in the murders were. In or around March 2024, Keane Klein was placed in the same general area where Ricci Davis and at some point apparently learned Ricci Davis had talked to Ron Logan while Logan was incarcerated in Newcastle. Over time, King Klein began questioning Ricci to Ricci Davis' conversation with Ron Logan, and rather Logan had ever mentioned his King Klein name to Ricci Davis during the conversation. Now, Ricci Davis began to realize that Klein may have been one of another members of the crew that Logan described and involved the murder. Over time, King Klein began to reveal information about the murders, but we know he lied. King Klein lied to the law enforcement and just tried to shorten his time. That's what he was trying to do. He lied to shorten his time. So, some of the details provided from Ricci are the types of the details could be only be known by someone involved killing. Now, the conversation between Ricci and Keelan occurred all the way up to the guilty verdict, which Klein expressed his relief that he would no longer be valuable suspect to the murders due to Richard Allen's conviction. Not knowing whether Richard Allen could be the third person involved in the murder. Now, Ricci asked King Klein whether Mr. Allen was the third person involved in the murder. King said replied that Richard Allen was not the third person, but had nothing to do with the murder. But continue because he lied. We don't know King Klein lied. Further revealed that Ricci that he and Logan knew each other, sharing a child pornography that shared a burner phone. And further, that Klein and Logan would see every other 3rd or 6 months, so Klein could assist with using the burner phone. This is all lies on here. And working with electronic devices. Now, Ricci further explained that once King began revealing his role in the murder sometime in the summer of fall of 2024, before Mr. Allen's October trial, he and Ricci Davis began sending letters to the prosecutor providing many of the details as Mr. Davis did, conversation with Ron, Logan, King Klein. Now, Ricky indicated that he believes he sent as many as 8 letters to the prosecutor's office. Hereafter, Davis' letters that presume that the prosecutor was sharing the content of these letters with Richard Allen's defense team. Now, Attorney Baldwin met with Ricky in March 27th of 2024 and learned very limited information that Ricky, who encouraged Baldwin to watch a videotape interview law enforcement conducted years earlier. Now, on February 12th, 2025, meeting Ricky further admits that when Attorney Baldwin met with Ricky on March 27th, Ricky did not prove all of the details that he knew at that time to Baldwin for 2 reasons. He had not heard of that many detail of Keene Klein ultimately prove him, including that Keene Klein was involved in the crime and that Keene knew Ron. 2, at the time he met the Attorney Baldwin in 2024, he could not be sure whether Richard Allen was one of other 2 people. Now, Ron described as also being involved in the murder, but Mr. Davis stated that he was guarded during their March 27th, 24 meeting between Baldwin and him. Did not necessarily want to assist Richard Allen defense counsel if Richard Allen was one of the 3 that Ronald Logan stated was involved in the murders. But again, March 27th, meeting with Baldwin, Ricky told Baldwin that he and Baldwin could learn the details what Ricky told the law enforcement by watching his videotape. That the law enforcement should have their possession from when the law enforcement interviewed Ricky sometime years before at February 12th, 2025 meeting. Ricky, let me go back here. Ricky told him watching. Now, Ricky sometimes years before, following on March, Ricky the next day, March 28th, at 11:49 p.m., Attorney Baldwin emailed both prosecutor and Stacy Diener requesting they turn over the law enforcement videotape interview of Ricky Davis, which Davis soon provided the detailed Ron Logan's confession videotape. Now, today's date, the prosecutor has never provided any videotape of Ricky Davis' interview to the defense team, nor or why not done. So, state stated no such videotape exists and have ignored the request. Approximately 8 letters Ricky Davis claims he sent prosecutor in months leading up to October 24th, 2024 trial would contain multiple layers of evidence which the defense could have used for their investigation, rather containing facts in the letters that could verify the crime scene, photos, digital data, and a variety of other means. Now, the defense counsel has never seen the Davis letters nor known for existence until after the trial, when the defense counsel met with Davis on February 12th. Also, the prosecutor has never informed the defense team counsel exists any such letter. On the evening of February 12th, the defense counsel Baldwin sent an email to the prosecutor in his in-house investigator Steve Mullins' request that produce both Davis' letters and the videotape in possession of the interview. Now, Davis and prosecutor respond as Borgo non-response to the defense request and did not indicate rather the prosecutor ever received those letters, nor rather he sent those letters to the defense team. In other words, prosecutor never confirmed or denied exist of it said letters, nor he didn't confirm or deny and provide a formation from Davis letters to defense counsel. Now, February 13th at 3:45 p.m., Attorney Baldwin sent another email to the prosecutor asking a straightforward question: did you receive multiple letters from Davis in the months leading up to Rich Allen in October? And if so, did you turn those letters over to the defense team? Those should be questioned easy and answer and quickly. Answer: prosecutor never received such letters. He should know the answer immediately, since Davis claims that Davis sent the letters directly to the prosecutor. Now, if prosecutor did receive such letters, he should know the answer immediately. Furthermore, if he did receive such letters, he should very quickly be able to identify the dates that he sent those letters, defense, and how he sent those to the defense, email, e-discovery, etc. As the time filing the documents, the prosecutor has failed to answer those straightforward questions, but the defense team has reviewed all the e-discoveries and President determined rather the prosecutor provide Davis letters and the defense to determine of those letters which hidden among those discoveries. Well, the defense found no such letters penned by Davis addressed by prosecutor in the e-discovery. Now, the defense reviewed all the emails during the application time frame, determined whether prosecutors ever forward the email or detached letters from Davis. No such emails. Defense requests the court order prosecutor office as well as the law enforcement agency to preserve any letters that Davis in the possession or further to turn them over to the defense immediately. Now, the defense team is concerned that without any order from the court and prosecution and the law enforcement may lose the Davis letters as well as the videotape interview. Now, Davis or the state of Indiana may refuse to turn them over to the defense. The defense concerns as founded based upon the law enforcement history in the case, losing evidence as documents before, during the trial. Now, Davis was going through all this, and Ron Logan was only arrested for alcohol and driving under his suspension of what the judge told him not to drive. There was no proof. His lawyer showed there was no proof. So other inmates try to reduce their sentence so they won't be in prison that long. Now, constitutionally rights, if exist Davis letters so that the defense could conduct its own investigation concerning the content of those letters, including conducting disposition that would naturally flow from the fact alleged in these letters. Had the defense known Davis letters before trial, it could have used the letters in further investigation, present them to court in the hearing of August the 1st, 2024 on the third party suspect capability. The factor in the information contained in those letters into trial strategy. Now, had the defense received those letters, and the verdict of the defense could have incorporated those letters in the mention of to correct the errors. The conclusion, for the foregoing reason, the defense respectfully requests the court order the prosecution and law enforcement preserve the letters in Davis in their possession, immediately overturn the letters Davis in their possession to preserve any recording interviews and immediately turn over to the defense video in Ricky Davis' possession, reserves. And this was Andrew Baldwin at that time. But here's another one. Let me get to another one here. Let me see. Where is it? Where was it? Okay. Here's this one. Hey, Louise. How you doing? Mustang? All right. Here's another one. Owner of the Delphi property where the two murder teens were found plead guilty to unrelated charges. The owner of the property, the man who where Delphi teens, Libby and Abby, were found last month, appeared in court, Carroll County Court. Now, Ron Logan moved around in different jails to keep him safe. That's what Carroll County did, and that he got moved around to different jails to keep him safe at that time, because the girls were on this property. The owner of the property, the man where Delphi teens were murdered, were found last month, appeared in Carroll County Court Monday. Ron Logan had been arrested on March in Delphi on the later probation violation allegation. In the hearing, Logan entered a plead guilty to the charge of habitual traffic violator, also admitted of having violated the terms of his probation. Now, the investigation have served nearly a dozen search warrants looking for the killer or killers. Police stressed that Logan had not been arrested in connection to the crime and no charges have been filed. I think they've done the right thing. Marvin Sanford said of the search investigator conducted Ron Logan's property Friday. Sanford lived a couple miles down the road from Logan and used to work with him. I think they're doing him more a favor than they are harm, because if they go back through and they can't find nothing, you have no right to accuse him of anything. I mean, that was his property. That could have been anybody's property, Sanford said. Who would have a thought they let their children out, do something special that day, take a trip down and turn into a disaster like this? Logan said that a day after the bodies were found on his property, a few hundred yards from his home in secluded wooded area, the area they were in was very hard to get to. I mean, you can't get there unless you walk there. Somebody had to be walking with them or something set, Logan. At least count detectives were checking 2,200 tips about a person they suspect abducted and participated in the murders of the teen friends living in Abbey before she was killed. Libby captured a fuzzy picture of a man with her cell phone camera and audio of a suspect saying down the hill. There's that one. And let me get to this other one here. So this is this other one here. Talk about confessing. Hey Jason, how you doing? All right. So here's this one. So exclusive inmate says Delphi prosecutor ignore his letters about Ron Logan's confession in letters. So Delphi, Indiana, a letter to Fox 59, CBS 4, Max Lewis, the inmate who is the center of the latest legal battle and the Delphi double murder case said the prosecutor ignored repeat effort to inform him about a supposed confession to a murder made by a man who was once a prime suspect. Now, the letter was mailed to Fox 59 and CBS 4 studios by Davis, who was serving 50 years sentence in the Newcastle Correctional Facility for dealing meth. Now, Fox 59 and CBS 4 has previously requested an interview with Davis regarding his role in the Delphi case, but was denied due to safety and security concerns. In 2017, Davis was in the same block cell with Ron and told the investigator Ron had confessed to a step-by-step killing of Abby and Libby. Logan owned the property where the girls' bodies were found and was sent to prison shortly after the murders of the parole violation. However, the prosecutor said Davis failed a polygraph test. When the investigator pushed further into the confession, Davis wrote in his letter to Fox 59 CBS that he was the one treated as if he had done something wrong. I was who requests to be placed on a polygraph, Davis wrote. It was made all about my motive. And you got the media attention. It was not about the motive. I am a man who has kids myself and felt deeply for baby girls and families. Well, if he was that deeply concerned, him making meth while having this at his house around kids. Now, Davis said he was also asked to condone Logan's confession into less than 2 paragraphs or recount being threatened with perjury charge if he wasn't telling the truth. He also claimed that he offered to wear a wire while speaking to Logan. I was told, now, Mr. Davis, it's okay. It isn't necessary, really. Now, Davis wrote, this cannot be denied by prosecutor as the entire setting was fully recorded by video. It's honest dispute fact that he can make. Of course, he has made effort to silence my genuine effort. Now, Logan supposed to told Davis that the prosecutor was a long family friend, but have his back. Now, it was told wrong in advance that the prosecutor told the couple family members of Ron Logan himself, if I'm elected, I will let Ron out. I don't believe he committed the crime, Davis wrote. Davis said things got worse as Rich Allen's trial got closer. Now, he said he wrote 7 letters to the prosecutors about the confession before he convicted on an innocent man. Now, Davis wrote that he initially believed Allen had a hand in the murder, but changed his mind after the trial was over. I realized then all I was told by Ron Logan was thereafter all the secondary Rich Allen was not a guilty man. After all, Davis wrote, this left 2 uncharged men, and now back to 3 uncharged against. Davis has alleged that Logan told him 2 other people were involved in the murder with him. Of course, he was talking about Klein. Now, Davis also accused prosecutor of lying during a December press conference when he was asked about other potential suspects in the murder. At this point, we do not believe any other actors involved. We don't have any evidence to support that, prosecutor said at that time. If that evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate that. Now, Davis accused prosecutor of having a reckless regard for the truth. And in the letter to the Fox 59 and CBS 4, now Davis indicated that he would ask prosecutor if he can sleep at night. If he can't sleep at night. I'm not asking to believe. I'm asking the people to ask questions, follow the evidence. Let the poor victim have justice. Davis wrote, as well as the jury settled Richard Allen's jury with all facts not distorted by the prosecutor covering up. This is what prosecutors do not want to hear. Now, Davis closed his letters with this message: pray for the girls and family, free the innocents, seek guilty, and stand for justice for all, good and bad. But have reached out, the news companies have reached out to the prosecutor and committed comment on writing to hear back. Now, Davis's letters was posted 2 days before Allen's defense team, Andrew, met with him about the alleged confession. But during meeting, Baldwin Davis provided more information about Logan's confession, which led him to file a motion demanding the prosecutor turn over the records. Now, the prosecutor has yet to respond. You can read the Davis letters. That we know what's the real truth. The real truth is there's only one person who did this, and there were people at the cemetery. Was one of the McCain brothers went to their mother's and father had a cemetery grave. They would have saw people's cars out there in the cemetery that day. He would have saw those people he described. That was pre-said that all these people were at that party Monday night. He had a party Monday night or Sunday night and had a party next day, but the girls didn't arrive till 1:30. How would they know when the girls are supposed to arrive at this party? When these guys had partying and had cars parked there at Ron Logan's place and in the cemetery. Now, how would they know? When did Libby get a phone call? There was no phone call because the girls were helping their grandmother, or Libby's grandmother, out that day. It was out of a whim to go to the Monon High Bridge Trail. They wouldn't know what time the girls would got there. There were already other people there that day on that trail. Libby and Abby's friends were there and stuff. Now you tell me. Here's another one. Yep. Here's another one. Now, the search warrant. Now, let's see here. Let's find out. Where was that one? There we go. Let's go to this one. Okay, so this is... Okay, this is This is... Let me read this. You remember murder sheet? Okay, this is the FBI. Okay, now Nicole Robinson swear or affirm that she believes has good cause to believe evidence of a homicide is located in the residence of Ron Logan's house in Delphi, situated in the Carroll County in the state, which describes a white 2-story single family dwelling suited in the of Carroll in said state, including a detached garage, outbuildings. On the building across from Ron, it was the Mears barn. It wasn't the red barn. That was the Mears barn. So, in a white Ford F-250, it was a 4-door, and stated as follow: Nicole, a special agent of federal Bureau investigation that have been employed such for 12 years. Prior to her employment of FBI agent, Nicole was employed at Suki Village, Illinois, police officer for approximately 6 years. Now, Nicole was assigned to Maryville Resident Agency and currently participates in the investigation of all violent crimes. Now, on February the 13th, two juvenile victims, hereafter referred as LGAW, were taken to Monon High Bridge Trail, located in Delphi. Were walking the trail area on 300 North and 575 West. Has all the longitude approximately 2:13 p.m., which was the last time contact with the girls by cell device. Now, victims were to be picked up by 3 p.m. The victims never met with the family member. Approximately 5:30 p.m. was last successful ping of the cell tower by AT&T. The victims were located deceased on February 14th, approximately 12:17 p.m. above listed longitude, latitude, having been victims. Now, as a suspect being developed of the white male wearing blue jacket with a heavy physical build, wearing a cap and blue jeans, the development of this suspect was made by a 43 seconds video from Libby German, where the suspect follows the victim as are they walking on the Monon High Bridge trail near the end of the video. Suspect speaks, says go down the hill. It sounds as though he is directing the girls leaving the area. We know Libby says we got to go down the hill first before he did on the end of that. So identified, no person has been come forward identifying himself as the person who met the victim, and statement that Libby's video, therefore, is believed the person in the LG video participating in the killing. Images of the suspect has been broadcast on news media since February 15th, 2017 as person of interest. Are presumed to have made contact with the unknown male approximately 2:13 p.m. based on alias Libby German's phone with recorded the video. Now, February 14th, that's when they found the girls on Ron Logan's property. And a large amount of blood was lost by a victim at the crime scene because of the nature of the victim's wounds, and nearly certain predator of the crime had been gotten blood on his person's clothing. And like I said, that person would have had blood on the clothing. How Libby's neck was spraying out blood. Now, location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet from Ron's residence. Ron 77 in physical consist. Ron Logan's about 6'2". So he's taller than the person on the bridge. FBI already says the height, it was between 5'6" to 5'8" at that time, under 200 pounds, roughly. Now, the physical bit consists with the male suspect on the one on the bridge. Now, Logan owned farmland, cares for a large farm animals, appears to be in good physical condition. Now, Logan has been interviewed several times. His voice is not inconsistent with that voice, that person on the voice. Well, it is not Ron Logan. And the other night it showed how Rich Allen's arms in the bar matches the guy on the bridge. So it was discovered that one of the victims was missing from the crime scene while the rest of their clothing was recovered. Also appears the girl's body were moved and staged. Well, it wasn't moved or staged. That's a lie. Based upon training and experience in the common predator of this type, a crime to take up souvenirs or in some fashion memorize the crime scene. Rather, the photos or electronics or digital methods that could be downloaded into computer storage devices, tablets, phones, iPad devices, and electronic devices to store digital data for later viewing or scanning copies. Now, LG and AW had no physical signs of struggle and fight. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators located unknown fibers, unidentified hairs, which may later be used for comparison and similar fiber or hairs. Lowen owned numerous weapons, and including handguns, knives, and were obviously by the Leo during the execution of the search warrant took place at his home on March 6, 2017. Now, Ron's home was searched as a result of probation violation. The search was limited to discovering firearms, including his own main residence. Now, on February 14th, approximately 9 a.m., Logan contact his cousin. Logan asked to tell the police that come to Ron's home between 2 and 2:30 on February 13th to pick him up. Logan further told to say drove Logan to the aquarium store in Lafayette, Indiana. And Logan told to say to return home between 5 and 5:30. On February 14th, while requesting consent, search Logan the property of the law enforcement officer advised Logan to Leo would not search his home unless evidence led to Logan's house. In the meeting, Logan told the law enforcement that he did not think evidence would lead them to his house. I don't know. The receipt of the aquarium world in Lafayette it's on Earl Avenue. That's where he went on that day with a checkout at 5:21 p.m. is found in Logan home March 6, 2017. During his probation violation search, Logan residence approximately 22 miles from the store. It would take approximately 30 minutes to go to the store from Logan's house. Now, March 6th, during that interview, Logan said he was picked up around 3 p.m. and taken straight to the aquarium in Lafayette on March 6th. Interview, and Logan said after he was done at the aquarium, he was driven straight home. These statements were found into factual false and intentionally designed to deceive because he broke his probation. He didn't want to get in trouble because he needed somebody to drive him to places. He's not supposed to be driving to places. And he got caught. Now, Logan on Monday, February 13th, drove to the aquarium store in Lafayette on March 9th. Interview by Leo regarding to the trip and aquarium told Leo that he had lied when he interviewed by the Leo on March 7th, explaining Ron had never asked to lie for him in the past, knows Ron has driven his vehicle while on probation and was prohibited from doing so. Now, also said Logan did not ask him to lie for Logan when Logan drove to transfer station early that day on March 12th, explaining interview Leo that Logan called him on Monday, February 14th, asked him to provide alibi. Ron's driving to aquarium. The phone call was made prior to the discovery of Abby and Libby, deceased body. Based on the investigation, experience is reasonable to believe that certain of the alibi to discovery of the crime indicates capability or knowledge of the crime. So he thought the photograph of the male that was released by media of the man on the bridge looked like Ron. Well, Leo learned that Logan had driven on February 13th to the transfer station and drop off trash. Now, video from that transfer station shows Ron driving his white pickup truck between 11:37 to 11:32 a.m., and the video showed the transfer station appeared to be off 26 minutes, putting Ron at the transfer station at 11:53 a.m. to 11:58 a.m. Now, Ron did not ask to provide any alibis for his drive to the transfer station on February 13th. Now, Ron only asked to provide the alibi the trip that would have occurred at the time when Libby Alley's murder. Now, on March 8th, interview met Ron at 7 or 8 years ago, was in a personal relationship with Ron for a couple of months and would stay with him in his home on the weekends. Now, Ron, after he became physical abuse during her interview, explained Ron continued to stalk and harass. After their breakup, during their relationship, Ron had dragged out of her car by her hair, and still fear Ron has not had contact with Ron in practically 2 years. Now, until the interview, that Ron had told her in the past that he could kill her and no one would find her body. Now, during March 8th, she knew Ron carried a gun everywhere. Well, yeah, if you have a gun permit to carry a weapon, what makes the difference? Knew that Ron would carry a gun in a fanny pack. Well, the killer didn't have a fanny pack. So described Logan's fanny pack as once made out of nicer materials. The killer didn't have a fanny pack on. So during her March 8th, told Leo when she first saw the photograph of the man on the bridge, she thought the police were looking for Ron because she thought the photograph was Ron and did not initially realize the photograph was that of the suspect. Called police using Ron's cell phone, produced cell towers data shows Ron's cell phone appeared to be around his property on February 13th at 2:09 p.m. Although his exact location cannot be confirmed, the tower data shows that Ron's cell phone was in Delphi area of the Monon Trail. Now, analysts of Ron's cell phone data reveal the text message sent from his phone at 7:56 p.m. on February 13th. Initial exam of indicates Ron's phone was likely outside of his residence and practically where Algae and AW bodies were, but that wasn't true. Now, Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message by his phone at 10:16 p.m. on February 13th. Initially shows and indicates Ron's phone was likely outside his residence, approximately where they're just saying this they're close to where Ron's bodies, these girls' bodies were, and stuff. Ron met the Leo on February 17th while they were on his property. Logan was physically able to get up and down because he played with his when his cousins during when they're young teens or younger kids. That's all they did is play through there. I talked to his cousin when Anthony was filming stuff out there, and they walked up the hill. They said, yeah, we played as kids outside all through these hills. We were born through here and stuff. So Ron knows how to get up and down the hill. His kids played down there, going up and down the hill. So outside the residence, now, while they were on his property, going down from his house to the crime scene, Former housemate was interviewed. Ron from about September 2016, though, and to December 2016 was sexual relationship with Ron, and off for approximately 3 years. During the interview, Leo said when she first learned the murder, missing and found dead near Logan's house, her initial thought Ron was involved. Said her interview she feared Ron, and even previously told her baby father if she ever ended up dead, Ron did it. Well, still have no proof. Explaining her interview, Ron has been violent with her in the past, explaining on July 4th, 2016, while Ron's home. Now, Ron punched her in the face, knocking her down, explaining that she was drinking by Ron, and is completely sober during the incident. And also explaining Ron was angry because she disrespected Ron while Ron's in his home. Now, family began searching the area the trails where Living Abby was initially dropped off after certainly 3 p.m. Family of Abby and Libby were out there. Community members joining the search shortly after. Carroll County Sheriff was notified approximately 5:30 p.m. were missing. Once the search started and began, no one reported seeing any person matching the description of the male on the bridge. Now, FBI had established database and collection of organization tips provide public in case in search. And the database has revealed 15 tips in which the citizens, both known anonymously, attribute to the crime. Ron, for various reasons. Based on a formidable fact, Ron was in the area at the time of the crime occurred, and that provide false information about the activity during the crime, and law enforcement has prior of violence employee others to assist in deceiving law enforcement and plotted alibi to the crime that had not yet been discovered. Now, based on the forementioned facts, I believe there is probably cause to believe Ron Logan had committed the crime. Ron Logan didn't commit a crime at all. They're just assuming that's what they did. They assume an innocent person. Affidavit requests a warrant search on Ron Logan's entire property. Described white two-story single-family dwelling, including his detached garage outbuilding vehicle, white Ford 250, bearing the serial numbers for evidence related to the murder. Any other evidence pertaining to the murder, including clothing, forensic evidence, blood, hair, bottle fluids, seen or unseen, blood seen or unseen, fiber, weapons, including guns and cutting instruments, electronic devices used to produce cellular signals detected by law enforcement in the area of crime, animal hair, the computers, computer equipment, digital storage devices, and types of tapes and cassettes and cartridges, steam tape, streaming tape, commercial software, hardware, so on. You got all these right here. They all looked at. You all forgot about. See, they don't talk about Maxwell. He was wearing black clothing that day. People said he was out there. He did the same thing. They looked at his computers and stuff. Didn't say anything. Ron Logan didn't have anything on showing blood or anything on any of his weapons of them filming. Like again, they would have been seen by the McKean brother who went to the cemetery visit his parents. There was no vehicles there at all. No Keen Klein, no other people at all. So you got all this addition of photographs, digital cameras, software operating manuals. They got everything. And graphic exchange, format, equipment, data, storage material has been used or may be used to store evidence, search everything. Now, records, documents, writings, and correspondence containing information about the crimes and crime scene of individual involved to the crime. Any and all tablets, phones, iPad devices, any all electronic devices which contain digital data. And all the computer and but not limited now. Photograph, videos, documents, emails, sound files, which contain evidence in violation of the crime status listed to begin of this affidavit. So you got that. It's just they got everything from Ron Logan, guns and stuff, because that Nicholas Robertson, who asked Ron Logan, his probation officer, does he have weapons? And his probation officer said, yeah, he's got weapons. Well, gives her a right to go into his house and search. He had no evidence of him being the killer. No evidence of blood on his hand. Blood does stain on your hands. It stays there. You can't wash off blood. You can't wash off blood in a washer or dryer. Any blood, including your weapons, gets in the handles and stuff. So, in hair, if spray Libby's blood spraying as it was, the killer had blood in his hair. Did Ron Logan cut his hair? No. The killer would. The killer would shave his head, so he wouldn't have any of that. Yeah, I do too. Mustang, Richard Allen is the guilty party. He changed his look. The killer would have shaved his head, because if Libby's blood was spraying all over, it got in his hair. It would stay in his hair. You can't wash that out. You can't wash blood off your hands, or body, or shirt because it was stained. It's like super glue. You would have super glue on your hands, on your shirt, in your hair. Richard Allen cut his hair. So let me see here. Let me find something else here. Let me look at this one here. Got another one here. Oh, yes. Here you go. Here's another one. This is another one here. Okay, search warrant reveals Delphi murder suspect may have taken souvenirs. So, new detail have been released in this case of two young girls were found murdered, Indiana, 5 years ago. Now, on the popular Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana, when they went missing, their bodies were found the next day. And the case has yet to be made. Now, according to the search warrant, murder sheet, October 9th, Tuesday, FBI wrote March 2017, the agent had probable cause to search Ron Logan's home. The man who owned the property and the two girls were found. Well, the girls would not have been found. It would have been found on Brad Weber's property. If Brad Weber didn't come home and Ron Logan, would have known it's Brad. Okay, it's Brad. I know Brad. Ricci Allen saw Red Weber's van. He got spooked, head to on Ron's property. He didn't know much. So the warrant said in the case may be found at home. Agents also wanted to search outbuildings property, Ron's vehicle, for any that may have to do with this case. Now, including forensic evidence, hair, body, fluids, pets, whatever, guns, cutting instruments, as well as electronic devices and storage. Now, some of the detail provided in the warrant have yet to be public. Now, Libby's used her own cell phone to capture the image and voice of the suspect said killing down the hill around 2:13, February 13th, according to the search warrant. Recording a German phone lasted 43 seconds. Only a small portion of the audio had been made to public. This young lady is a hero, no doubt. The Indiana State Sergeant Tony Slocum said at that time to have enough presence of mind active the video system on her cell phone in recording what we believe criminal behavior. Now, the warrant suggests that the suspect would have gotten blood on their hands and clothes because a large amount of blood was lost from the victim at the crime scene. It reveals investigators believe the suspect may have taken souvenir from the scene of the crime. The item clothing was missing from one of the girls, and that appear the girls' bodies were moved and staged, but it wasn't staged because they just took have them. Libby's clothes was already off. Made Libby walk across that creek with no clothes on. Though it doesn't suffice that may have been missing, the warrant also said resting of their clothes was found and there was no sign of struggle or fight. Now, FBI agent who wrote in search warrant said it's possible the suspect physically removed something and took a photo of the crime scene, where investigators also recover unknown fiber and identify hair. Now, the warrant also shows investigators believe Logan's build could be consist with the man showing in the photo captured on Libby's phone, and that the woman who known Ron were interviewed had been violently with a past. They also said they believe he was the man, but he's not. The warrant, however, says Logan's voice did not match the voice captured on audio on Libby's phone. It was also revealed Logan lied about his alibi. A friend he picked him up from home and took him to the aquarium store. He reported he told the family member to rely that the story to the police, and said he gotten home between 5:30 on February 13th. Document shows a receipt was found at Logan's house from the store dating on February 13th. Checkout 5:21 p.m. However, doubts about his return timeline, as it would be taking about 30 minutes to get home from the store. Investigators said the warrant that seen Ron asked the family member to lie about his alibi in the crime discovered. Phone records shows Logan's cell phone was in the area of Monon Bridge Trail, and the text sent at 7:56 p.m. the same day shows his phone likely outside his home privately of the murder. Logan's property was searched on March 17th, but it's unclear the warrant turned up any evidence. He was never named or charged in the case and died in January. The lease of this warrant comes out weeks after Libby's grandmother said in the interview in Fox 59 News. Now, last year, police announced what seemed likely a real bombshell in the case, fake social media accounts. Anthony Schott has been communicating with Libby. The profile shows photos of young male models, authorities said, account alleged by 27-year-old Kean Klein from Peru. Now, Klein, who currently is in jail on child porn, failed a polygraph when he asked questions about the girls. According to Fox report, police documents actually post online revealing disturbing details claiming he alleged to investigate. He used the social media account to communicate with Libby the day she was killed. He also alleged he used his computer to search along does the DNA. Now, how would he know what time she's going to be there at the Monon Bridge? He's never been there. He was never seen that day. So there's the story. The real truth. Not this bullshit crap. And trying to think Ron Logan did it. And since Ricky Davis failed his polygraph test and failed, this is why there was no. If there was letters, prosecutor would have brought it in, but it seems there's not. But pressing put Ricky Davis out there Saturday, trying to convince it was Ron Logan who killed the girls and these other guys. Yes, there was a story about the hog roast, but that was the night before. So it is up to you. Like we said, we tell the truth. And those who want to lie, they were the ones who lie and listen to the wrong place. So there's your answer. We know Ricky Davis lies, trying to get out of his sentencing board. That's what all he does is trying to get out and stuff. And there was no, since King Clay lied, he doesn't tell the truth anyhow. They know he just want to keep on get out of jail card for free, and gets out. It's like, oh, I got something. Can you? I can show you something. What do they reveal? Anything? No. Nothing linked to Ron Logan. Like I said, why don't they ask about Maxwell? They don't talk about Maxwell. He was the very first subject in this case. No one talks about Maxwell and stuff. They all want to believe the liars. Again, the liars start in Canada and they keep going. Frame people, it's not any true, because they're the ones who want subscribers. They say the same thing for these people who was on YouTube. Sean Harmon said the same thing. All they just want subscribers. Look, he got subscribed because he was dealing dope and injecting himself with. So everybody thinks, oh, because he was doing drugs doing meth and things into his arms and stuff. No, that's not. A person should be watching people doing drugs in videos. Listen to somebody who pretends, oh, I'm a child counselor. Let's try to frame Randy. That's what she did to tell Ralphie. Let's try to frame Randy with I'm a child counselor. I know the law. Deal with younger children. She should be the one to be a child predator and stuff. So there you go. Hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Everybody showing up. And I'll talk to you guys all later and see what happens. Hey, Delua. Wait, are you saying a town could have more than one cyber individual? Cyber, prior to domestic abuse, it's trouble, but it's not proof. Yep, that's true, Cyber. It's not proof. Criminal cases aren't solved by character judgment. Yes, that is true. The Ron Logan theory, powered by one YouTuber video, a lot of confidence. Yep, sure is. We are all in agreement whenever it happened. When does that happen? Yep. But no way did that video showed an elderly man. Nope. Because Ron Logan wears his boots, the mud boots, and how he kind of bifolds his pants up above his boots. So if it was Ron, you would know. If you look in his pictures of his mud boots, he would wear his mud boots. And let me find him. Hold on. Let me get that photo of Logan. Oops. Let me see here. Here we go. Okay, so this is what would Ron Logan wears his mud boots. Okay, all right, that's his mud boots. That's how he wears his pants legs above his mud boots. He's standing on the side of that hill of his. You would know if it was Ron Logan in his mud boots. Look at this. That's not Ron Logan. So these idiots who believe Dave's story, there's his mud boots, and look how high his pant legs are tucked in his boots. If he was going to walk down that hill muddy, he knowing that his land down below is muddy and wet with all the leaves and stuff, he was wearing those mud boots. This is what he wears walking around down areas that has water and mud. He'd be wearing his mud boots, and this is how he wears his pants. He wouldn't be walking across that bridge with the mud boots on that bridge, knowing, well, okay, I'm going down the other side on Brad Weber's side. I better wear my mud boots. How would he know the girls were there? That video of the killer. Hold on, let me get the. All right, let me get to. Okay, here you go. There you are. Do you see mud boots? Do you see his pant legs clear up here to his knees? No. That's not Ron Logan, and that's not a fanny pack. That's whole jeans. He didn't have no fanny pack on him. He has no mud boots on. That's Richard Allen. his right arm bends this way. His left arm is closer to his left side inward. That's not Ron Logan. And Logan is my height. So whether he gets 6'2", 6'3", he's not no 6'2", 6'3". It's not Ron Logan. He would be wearing his mud boots. If he was going on Brad Weber's side, walk down below the bridge, below the hill, he'd be wearing mud boots. And he's not wearing mud boots. At all. He's not wearing no freaking mud boots. Where'd he go? So look at this again. Mud boots. Look where his pant legs are. Up to his knees. So these damn little bastards better start looking at evidence right. And stuff. You don't know shit about a case that you don't know. Him down the hill here in his property here. He's wearing mud boots and his pants leg up. And here's Richard Allen's photo. I don't see mud boots on him, and I don't see those pant legs of his clear to the knees. This is Richard Allen. Guilty as hell. So there you go. Not if there was money to be made. Yup. Let's see here. Cyber. Hold on. Okay, I'm going. The pants on this guy is crinkled up, which would only be the case if he was short. Richard Allen had crinkled pant legs by his shoes in the bar. If you look at the video I made, it shows the same type of pant legs of Richard Allen in that picture. And you look at his left and right arm, left arm's closer, and his right arm's bent. Not if they are made money. Money is made. Yep, that's true, Jubilis. Very true. So, and justice was served. Yes, Jubilis, it was. Justice was served. Exactly. Bunch of bullshit. Yes, it is. This is a bunch of bullshit. They don't want the truth. And that's the problem. Well, I'll let you guys go. Hey, thanks for all coming. I'll talk to you guys later.